If you can spare a tear for Hunter Biden, now may be the time to do so. He's very sad that the mean, awful press corps has, quote, vilified his addiction. They vilified his addiction. In a piece in USA Today, he talks about how his struggles and mistakes have been the fodder for a vile and sustained disinformation campaign against him and his dad, and an all-out annihilation of my reputation, such as it was. He goes on to say, look, I'm not a victim, but what troubles me is the demonization of addiction, of human frailty, using me as its avatar, and the devastating consequences it has for the millions struggling with addiction, desperate for a way out and being bombarded by the denigrating and near constant coverage of me and my addiction on Fox News and in the New York Post. So that's what he's worried about, what coverage of his troubles is going to mean for other addicts who he thinks are looking at him thinking, you know what? Fox News and the New York Post are going to come for me next.
Well, first off, as long as the other addicts aren't embezzling millions of dollars from Ukraine and China and Russia and all the worst dictators in the world, then they shouldn't have an issue. Like, if they're not using their dad's name to enrich themselves and they're just strung out on heroin, then they can go see Dr. Drew and they should be fine. So they can avoid this kind of scrutiny by not being an international embezzler. So just a tip to all the people struggling with drugs, you can avoid this by just being a junkie. But you can't be an international thief and a junkie, because then you will not be able to avoid this scrutiny. So that's
you went too
one.
far. You went too far.
Number two, he's okay. This is right out of the playbook. I have seen hours and hours and hours of coverage of Hunter Biden as it pertains to this issue. And every single commentator I've ever heard speak about it on Fox or beyond makes sure and is very careful to start with, he's an addict. I have sympathy for him. I have addicts in my family. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about embezzling money. We're talking about pay for play. We're talking about 10% for the big guy. It's not 10% of his cocaine. It's 10% of his money for the big guy who's now president of the United States and was vice president of the United States. So he is hiding behind this, and it's a common tactic, and it's what Democrats do all the time. You know, God forbid you have some problem with any member of the squad. Oh, it's because we're people of color. Oh, because we're gay. No, you're anti-Semite bitches. That's why we don't like you.
Right. That's what we're seeing time after time after time in this crazy reaction to Israel. I mean, have you been following the insanity on college campuses, these lunatics exposing themselves for the rabid anti-Semites they are?
Well, it's insane. And I was saying on my podcast the other day, like, do this thought experiment. What if we just went back to the year 2000? And I said there was a horrible event where Hamas came into Israel and butchered babies and raped people and slaughtered people, and then took hostages back to their caves in Palestine. And then so some concerned college students and concerned citizens here in the US started putting pictures of those taken hostage, women, children, and posting them up in the town square or the student union or Brooklyn or Manhattan. And then a group of people showed up and started tearing down those pictures. Who would that group be? If you asked me that in the year 2000, who's the group who tore down the pictures of the missing children and the missing women who were abducted? I would go, the Klan. I guess the Klan? And you'd go, no, it wasn't the Klan. Oh, well, then some kind of right-wing Republican religious nut jobs or some Christians or something. No, it's progressive women from the left. I'd be like, what?
Right.
You got to be kidding. No way. No, these are 19 and 20-year-old left-leaning progressive women on the left, college students mainly. They're tearing down pictures of missing kids who are being tortured by Hamas right now. What are you talking about? No, this is the work of the Klan. No, this is progressive women.
Well, and you're the perfect person to ask about this. You starred in the movie No Safe Spaces, made by our pal Mark Joseph, which I absolutely love, and was calling attention to the campus insanity years ago. We talked about this when we first launched the show with you guys. And we're all over these college campuses getting canceled and people having over the top reactions to your mere presence there. And those very same people seem to have zero problem with murdered babies, beheadings, rapes that led to torture and then murder. It's called resistance. You really need to contextualize it, is what we're hearing from them now.
Well, what they won't admit, and I think there's a large populace in this country who just wants chaos.
Freelance work is booming. So many people are taking the leap and starting their own business. But how do you maximize your earnings, minimize your taxes, and make sure you are legally compliant? It can be overwhelming, confusing, and it takes time away from your own billable hours. That's where the experts at Collective.com come in. Now, Collective was built specifically for businesses of one that are making over $60,000 in profit a year. Collective handles all of your back office work so you can focus on your passion and not your paperwork. And they can tell you how they can backdate your S-Corp and save you thousands on taxes this year. They handle business formation and compliance paperwork, taxes, bookkeeping, accounting, and even payroll. Check out collective.com/Megyn to potentially save thousands of dollars on your taxes. To sweeten the deal, they will also throw in an extra $100 off when you use my link. That's collective.com/Megyn to get started with your personal team of self-employed tax experts. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.